What is up, my friends? You're very welcome along to our match reaction here on Anfield Agenda after the Reds have been thoroughly beaten at the Etihad, 3-0 by Manchester City. And as Liverpool fans, of course, we've got more questions than answers. Not for the first time this season, we come into a match reaction disappointed at the tactics, at the performance. Yes, we will and could talk about Michael Oliver, but let's be fair, Manchester City deserve to win that game of football today. And I want to just say well done to them on their win because, you know, I'm a sporting person underneath it all, and we deserved nothing from that game. The better team won it. I guess the questions we're going to have is what's so different between Villa now and the weekend. You know, Salah again looks so far off it today. Konate's defending is just quite simply unacceptable and pathetic. Questions about Arne Slot's formation, tactics, we'll discuss that. For what it's worth, we ran a poll during the watch along where we asked you guys, are you Arne Slot in or Arne Slot out? 54% of people said they are out, 46 said in. For what it's worth, I'm in, but unhappy, and I've got plenty of questions. You know, the manager made a point of saying before the game today that he spent so long studying up, looking at Manchester City. I mean, I'll give you the quote again, just so I don't misquote him. This is what he said before the game. We know the challenge ahead of us. Man City away. It's one of the most difficult games of the whole season. I prepared for that, and we didn't pay more attention than any other game. I didn't see the Sunderland Arsenal game because I was still analysing City one more time for the 250th time probably this week. That in itself is worrying, because if that was you analysing Manchester City for the 250th time inside out, then what were you looking at? Because we were set up today in a way that we were just second best all over the park. So whether you spend too long looking at what City do and not enough time speaking to the players, however they went out onto that pitch there today, they went out with the wrong attitude. We were second best to so many second balls. We were outfought, outworked, outthought, and it was clear. So I don't want to hear the manager waffle. I don't want to hear Virgil come out with this nonsense about fans being behind us or whatever. That was an unacceptable performance from start to finish. And 3-0 doesn't flatter Manchester City one bit. Yes, I'm annoyed at Michael Oliver. He is a disgrace. But that aside, we were the second best team on that pitch today by a long, long way. So we need to look at ourselves. The situation at centre-back has to be resolved because Ibrahim Konate is a liability. Twice today, he was involved in moments. In fact, 3 times that impacted the outcome of that game. Couldn't be arsed closing down Jeremy Doku or getting out to block his shot. Says to him, have a shot, and he buries it. Penalty incident. Simple clearance, plays it out, leads to the penalty. Battle with Haaland. Mistimes the jump because he's too busy wrestling with him and gives Haaland a header when he was there ahead of Haaland. This is on Konate, not the result, but I mean his shitty performances. They're unacceptable. And they're causing us, as Liverpool fans, a lot of heartache right now. He wasn't on his own out there today. Doku absolutely rinsed Bradley inside out and was deservedly given the Man of the Match award. It'll be a lesson learned for Bradley. But as somebody pointed out, Salah did nothing to help him out either, to come back and track. Salah missed sitters. Salah was offside so many times. Wirtz was very ineffective on the opposite side. It was just so far removed from the performance that we had against Real Madrid that it really just has you scratching your head. It was always going to be an emotional day at the Etihad. Pep's 1000th game. I totally understand that. But we should have prepared for that. We should have known for what to expect there. And we were just passive and second best. It's just, it isn't acceptable. It just isn't acceptable with the money spent to be where we are. Any banter that comes our way is deserved. And like I said, I don't want to sit here and look for excuses because we were second best. But something has to give here, because why bring on Chiesa with 7 minutes to go? I'll tell you why. It's a fuck you to Chiesa. The reason Chiesa was brought on was because he wanted to rest Wirtz. Not to try and impact the game in a positive way. Not to try and change anything. It feels like a punishment for Chiesa at this point. And that's not good enough. Konate being on that pitch by the end of the game, what message does that send? Do what you want, play what you want, be as shit as you want. There are no consequences for your actions. So many things like this just send the wrong message. Right, let's get through some of these chats. Where are we? Cal said, this results on slot shows he's the problem. Same lineup as Tuesday, but set up completely different. I've done these ones. Arna excuses, tiredness, fine margins, wet pitch. Yep, there's no excuses today. We just weren't good enough. The only excuse is we weren't good enough. That's it. Bring on AFCON. Konate to be sold. New right centre-back needed. I don't disagree with that, Adam. Depressingly, I'm used to losing now, said Martin. Ian, thank you, mate. Konate does not have the proper mentality to play for Liverpool. Wirtz cannot be given a position. He must be allowed to roam freely. New centre-back is needed. So, on the Konate thing for a minute, this is what winds me up about him. And it isn't a recent thing. Konate is just so inconsistent in his performance. And the way we defend is so passive, it's annoying. And he isn't on his own here, by the way. Virgil doesn't come out enough to block either. But the amount of times Ibrahim Konate is involved at the scene of the crime, it's no accident. He just can't stay mentally switched on. So we need to react as a club here. Because Konate is a liability this season. He's been up and down, and he isn't the reason we lost today. But he is a problem. And if the club don't address this quickly, the whole season will be out the window. As soon as January opens, we need a centre-back in, and we need him in quickly. Konate shouldn't be even given a new deal at this point, because he either doesn't give a shit, or he's just not trying. Maybe both. It's just unacceptable. Salah, yes, sitters missed today. Lazy offsides. Just, again, not good enough. Wirtz didn't really work on the left today. We just never got any control of that game. And we never looked like scoring outside of that Virgil header. You know, that's a really frustrating part. Like, every department we were second best. Cal said, Craig, last season one of the weaknesses was a lack of pace in our team and physicality. We go on to sell two of our fastest, physical, tenacious, and Darwin and Diaz in a league that's getting ever more physical. Again, it's a really good point. You know, I've spoke about a lack of pace up top, but I haven't really spoke too much about the tenacity up top, Cal. And, you know, for all the faults we had with Darwin, you're never going to say there's a lack of effort there from him, right? Or a lack of occupying defenders. So it's a fair point. Oh, sorry. Just got very dizzy there for a second. Sorry. Kyle said, oh, sorry, you've just put a fair character. It's an emoji. Apology, mate. Thank you, Kyle. Maddie Gorman said, the only one to walk away with an ounce of dignity is Conor Bradley. The sooner Konate goes to Madrid, the better. Useless. Martin Lawrence said, we went back to having three passengers for the game. Maka, Konate and Salah can't do it at this level. Team was set up to fail from the start. The detective said, I wonder if the games just caught up with the team after Madrid and Villa. City started faster. 3 games, a little rotation. We have to be able to rotate better and keep our performance. Well, look, on the rotation part, the manager said he likes to work with a 19-20 man squad. So you can't use the squad size as an excuse when it's an intentional choice. So then you come down to keeping players fit. And we haven't been able to do that this season. You bring in Isak and he hasn't been fit and has been injured. You bring in Wirtz and we still don't know where to play him or how he fits into the team. Ekitike is working really hard and I don't think too many of us, there's too many complaints about how he's settling in. But we just look like there is no balance. There is no identity to the team. And that's probably my biggest concern. Is what the fuck are we? Like, what is our identity under Arna? I don't know still. Like, I look at that game and I still don't understand what we were trying to do. You know, the games we've enjoyed, the Madrid game in particular, it was because of the intensity. It was because of the aggression. It was because of the chaos. And Arna just either willingly wants to take us away from that or doesn't. I can't imagine he doesn't understand the impact of it. But whatever it is he's trying to do, we ain't it. City kept the ball today. City moved the ball today. If that's what he wants to do, then do that. But that's not what we're trying to do. We just look so far off it. When we're off it, we're way off it. And when we're good, we're very good. But there's too much of being way off it at the minute and there's just no identity. And I don't really want to hear about tiredness either because it's the start of November. And they've, you know, been on the beach since May, pretty much. So yeah, I don't really take the tiredness as an excuse either. Not when we spent nearly £500 million. Sarah said Chiesa should have been brought on at half time. Look, Sarah, every single one of us agrees with the treatment of Chiesa being shocking. Like I said, it was a 2 fingers up to Chiesa, bringing him on with 7 to go. It was basically more, I don't want to run Florian Wirtz anymore, than it was, I want to give Chiesa an opportunity. Because all he does with Chiesa is just uses him as a general dog's body, and it's not acceptable. We have gone to having 4 forwards again when we're supposed to have 6 because of the manager. Won't play Chiesa, and Ngamoa isn't ready yet. But we sold Diaz being told we didn't bring anybody in because we didn't want to block the pathway for Rio, but yet Rio isn't getting a sniff. So much of this just isn't adding up. Because if Rio isn't ready yet, that's absolutely fine. But we need to have somebody who is. We can't write off seasons because the owners, the fans, or excuse the owners, the coaches or whatever, want a player who's not ready for the first team yet not to have any competition. That's not good enough. You know, and nobody has any complaints about Rio Ngamoa not being ready yet. That's totally understandable. But we're being told that we have 6 forwards, but we only have 4, and one of them's injured. So we've got 3 forwards, and Salah's off it. That's the truth of it, and that is on the manager, because he tells us we've got 6, 2 in every position, but he just won't use 2 of them. So we have 4, and it pisses me off because it was the same last season. We had Harvey Elliott and Federico Chiesa who couldn't get a minute, couldn't get a start, no matter what else was happening around them. They were just brought on to save legs. So the manager's keeping players in the squad that he doesn't want and then moaning about the size of the squad. It's absolutely nonsense. Kyle, thank you, mate. Bobby said, convinced now that Konate has no game intelligence. I think he's just lazy, personally, because I don't believe for 1 second he doesn't understand what he's doing wrong. I don't believe for 1 second that one of the video analysts or anybody hasn't picked up so many examples of him not paying attention to the ball and wrestling the player. Look at the free out we gave again today. We had a corner and we gave a free out against us because Konate was pushing people. The goal for Erling Haaland, watch it back slowly. Watch what Konate's doing. He's wrestling with the arm of Haaland. No intention to actually just follow the ball and win it. He jumps past the ball and then Haaland scores. It's just not good enough. Simple clearance, puts it straight into Doku and Bradley, leads to the penalty incident. The man is a liability. Won't go out and close out Doku, won't throw his body in front of the shot, turns himself away with a half-arse challenge. It's just lazy and arrogant. Liverpool have lost 40% of their games since exiting last season's Champions League to PSG. That's a damning stat. We've lost 40% of all the games we've played since we lost to PSG last year on penalties. 40 fucking %. With nearly $500 million spent. Sean said, I'm sorry, but Virgil smiling and hugging City players after defeat is not acceptable. Steven Gerrard would never. That's not right. How our mentality, and sorry, that sport needs that. After that, I think he said Slot needs to go. I think you're trying to say. Look, I didn't see the smiling part after the game. You know, that's probably because I was looking at the chat, so I can't really give a take on that. But yeah, there's certainly no reason to be smiling there, is there? Right, let's get into the normal chat for a bit. Hussam said Slot has to go now. Another stat, we've lost more games than Everton this season, said Leona Farrell. Mohammed said Konate's head's gone. He's already in Madrid in his mind. Get rid of him. Raj said awful performance today. No fight, no grit, no tactics. At what point do we need to chat about Slot? Well, we ran a poll during the game and we left it up till there was over 7,000 votes in it. Now, I'm aware that there will be people from opposition club fans voting in it, but at the very best, I think it's fair to say the chat was split. It was 54% Slot out, 46% Slot in. So, whichever way you look at it, it's split down the middle pretty much with Liverpool fans at the minute. I'm not Slot out yet. I'm a man of my word, and I said if we lose 2 of the 3 we played, I would be Slot out. We've lost 1 of them and won 2, but he's dangling by a thread because here we are now, 14 odd games into the season, 15 including Champions League and Cups or whatever, and we still have no identity. None. Don't know what we're trying to do, don't know how we're trying to play, and we seem to be going no further forwards. Inconsistency. And it's never a shame, like it's never embarrassing to lose at the Etihad. They're a good team and it's always going to be a tough one, but it's how you lose. And we were just so far off it today. It was just embarrassing. Mohammed said, at this point, we don't even know which Liverpool will turn up against an opponent. It might be the Liverpool that turned up against Real Madrid and Villa, or it might be the Liverpool we saw today. Exactly. And look, my opinion, and this is just mine, is that Arna's just too lackadaisical. And same with Virgil. And look, I'm not saying they don't care, but I'm saying I don't respond to that type of leadership. And I don't like it. I don't like this non-sweary, shouty, demanding side of... And it must be a Dutch thing, because, you know, a lot of our players that are Dutch and our coach, they have a more relaxed demeanour about them. Doesn't mean they don't care, but it just... When things go bad, I think it translates awfully off the screen. And that's why... I wonder, like, what the fuck does he say in there at halftime? You know, is he in there giving it the full Klopp treatment and saying this is unacceptable? It's just, I don't know. I just don't think he helps himself. And again, when he told us he spent hours and hours analysing City and preparing for this game. That was after all of your analysation and preparation. That. Maybe a little less on the opponent and a little bit more on what we can do with the football, Arna. Because every time we're playing somebody, whether it be Paris Saint-Germain or anybody else, we're all hearing about what they do. And we're all hearing about how we can stop them. How about stopping us? How about us being the thing that they need to worry about? Because under Klopp, that's how I felt. Tactics, whatever, fair enough. But the game's going to be batshit crazy and it's going to be our way. And we're going to force our will on you. That goes a long way in English football. You earn the right to use your class and your tactics. And you go out there and you do the simple things well. You run the hard yards, you fight for your team, you win second balls, you win your duels. We're not doing that. Benjamin said, Craig, he has to go, meaning slot. He's just not able to play direct football, mate. Villa was a gift at Madrid. Under the lights at Anfield, he's just destroying that direct style. It feels like... And I'm sorry if this sounds absolutely simplistic, but it feels like the fans got us the Madrid result. And that, on the face of it, might sound silly, but I don't think I'm wrong, because the players were responding to what the energy that was given from the fans. That's what it took, because they don't have the ability, seemingly under Slot, to make the fans respond to them, if you get me. Just, I don't know, the identity of the team just looks so far removed from when we were successful under Jurgen and why we were successful. Teams feared playing against us. Teams couldn't figure us out because we had a non-structured way about us and we were chaotic. And he's taken all of that beautiful chaos, stripped it away, and this is what we're left with. A non-identity brand of football. Linux Prime said this loss is not based on one player, so stop hating on individuals. So who are you talking to there? Honestly, I don't know who you're talking to, because you don't have a fucking answer either. I'm not trying to be that guy, mate, but we are allowed to call out individually shit performances, and Konate was absolutely all over the shop. And you are right, and I've said multiple times, dude, it is a collective failure. But the manager's setting the tone. Ultimately, it's his team selection. It's his signings. It's his formation. It's his tactics. And if the players won't respond in a way that gets them out there doing the dirty stuff and, you know, the basic stuff, we've got a problem. We've got a problem. Ian said, poor and no style of play, Slot and players' fault. Luke Belton said, our defence is about as useful as a dildo in a nunnery. I have a better one. It's like a dildo as a croissant. It won't get the job done, and it's fucking messy. Shambolic 17 goals conceded already in the Prem. Like, look at the stats today. We'd one shot on target. One. In a game away from home. One. That, you're not winning jack shit in the Premier League away from home with one shot on target. The real Johnny Sin said, after tonight, we've now lost 44% of all our games since exiting the Champions League last season, not including draws. So yes, Craig, 44% straight losses since March. There isn't an argument to put back against that, is there, mate? There isn't. You know, we can talk about individual games and we can go back to little moments, but you're right. Ultimately, that stat of Liverpool having lost being the key word there, because as you said, you're taking out draws, 40% of their games since exiting the Champions League. Lost. Camel Deep, how are we, sir? Thank you, mate, and happy anniversary with us a year as a member. Konate is a huge liability. Press was poor. Shambles. Yes. But I also understand what that gentleman a minute ago was saying about, you know, no individual player was at fault entirely. I do get what he's trying to say, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that Salah was shocking. Konate was absolutely god-awful. And Bradley was rinsed by Doku. And I have sympathy for the Bradley part because he's still a young defender. But Konate, look, he doesn't look like he cares. That's it. It doesn't look like he gives a shit. And he'll tell us he does. He'll get on social media and he'll do all the usual bollocks. And Virgil will tell us the usual nonsense. But, you know, proof of the pudding's in the eating. And again there today, we were absolutely thoroughly outplayed, outfought. And we deserve to lose. Will said, we carry too many players not performing in games, but still think a big problem is how slow we play. It's easy to play against. Glenn Pringle, thank you, sir. We have the same goal difference as United. Oh, mate, that in itself shocking. Glenn, I don't know if you're being unlucky here with the super chats, mate, but I appreciate you. I know there hasn't been comments in, but I appreciate you, Glenn. Thank you. Tim Sa 330 said, every time Salah or anybody wants to cross the ball, there is nobody in the middle. We need Chiesa on or Isak at half time, not Jones or Gomez. No striker today. So look, today on Isak, I do have some sympathy with the manager on that particular thing. I wouldn't be giving him more than 15 minutes today, knowing that he's been feeling his groin, because we don't want him regressing. So I understand erring on the side of caution on that one. But by the time you would have been looking to bring him on anyway, the game was gone. And that's why I'm annoyed about the Chiesa substitution again. Because to me, what I seen there from that substitution was not the manager wanting to give Chiesa minutes. It was the manager wanting to have less minutes in Wirtz's legs. And that's why Chiesa got on the pitch. And that to me is disgusting. Because Chiesa should have been on far earlier. It was clear today again that this was one of those days that Salah wasn't able to do it. So again, what is it saying when you're not holding somebody to account? Now, this isn't having a dig at Mo. It just happens Chiesa kind of, you know, that would probably be our natural thought to bring him on there. And he won't do it. And he isn't going to do it. And he didn't do it last year. And we can talk about it every pre-match conversation we have before the next game and the game after. We all know Chiesa ain't getting a fucking start unless things are up shit creek. Because Arnold doesn't want them here. He doesn't. And nobody can convince me otherwise. So why are we going into a season, once again, with two players he doesn't rely on? Rio because he's too young, and Chiesa because he just doesn't like him. That in itself is an indictment of his management. The fact that he is openly ignoring two players for varying reasons and telling us that we have six forwards. No, we don't. We have four. One of them hasn't worked his way in from injury yet, and Salah has been so far off it this season. Gakpo has very good sets of traits, but again is limited somewhat. And Ekitike is still finding his way in. We do have a man of the match poll running if you want to have a vote on it. There's only three of them in it. Soboslai, Bradley or Mamadashvili. And again, feel sorry for Georgie today as well. Made a penalty save earlier on. And that should have been enough to inspire the team to get something from that game. But they couldn't even respond to that. And yes, Oliver fucked us for Virgil's header. But again, we would have been just glossing over it because we were so far off it today. We would have lost that game either way. Stevie boy, spend loads of money and the squad has holes everywhere still. The really funny thing, Stevie boy, is he said himself that we basically just replaced players. We didn't build out the squad. So we moved players out, brought new ones in, but haven't built out the squad. Then has the cheek to say, I want to work with a small squad, when he's ignoring some of the squad he does have that are already part of the small squad. So he's intentionally making a small squad smaller by ignoring Chiesa and Rio. And I feel really bad saying the Rio part because he shouldn't be thought of already to be a here and now player. So I'm not trying to have a dig at Rio. Rio's going to be a star. But you can't say we don't want to block the pathway through for a player and then just leave a hole there for the season. So we've no fucking competition and we've no other options. And they knew this as Salah was going to the AFCON as well, by the way. So Salah was going to the AFCON in a season where Isak was coming in and was always going to be behind on his pickup. Then we've got Gakpo, who was one-dimensional to some extent, and Ekitike, who's new. A lot of this, the math don't math, but the excuses are never ending. Callan said, can you make me feel better about this year? I'm an eternal optimist and I'm struggling. I'm more of a pessimist than an optimist in life, Callan. So if you're looking for me for opportunistic or upbeat stuff, all I can say to you is, in the future, the players are too good for us to be this bad. But I don't know when this is going to turn a corner. And the biggest concern I have, Callan, is again, a simple thing, identity. That's it. I don't know what we are. I don't know how to describe us. If I had a conversation with you in the pub and you said, Craig, give me 5 sentences on how Liverpool play under Arne, I don't know. I don't have the answers to that, mate. And that is what concerns me as a fan. Dan said, quite alarming today, Craig. It looked like we turned up trying not to lose rather than trying to win. Nothing wrong in calling out poor performances. Yep, it was a shocking performance. And City are deserving winners. Yeah, I don't really have... There's nothing else I can add to it. You know, your anger and frustration is the same as mine. Let me give you some more quotes. So, Virgil, on the disallowed goal, said, in football, the officials are deciding the key decisions and we have to deal with it on the pitch. There's no point discussing this from my point of view. The reality is that we lost 3-0 and that is a big blow. It doesn't matter what I say about the goal because anything I say will be in the media and the whole international break will be about my comment on the decision. I just focus on the fact that we lost. You guys can debate if it should have stood. So whilst I do understand Virgil's point there, I do think it's incumbent on us to call out Oliver. Because it wouldn't have made a difference in the outcome of the game most likely because City were deserving winners. But Michael Oliver is an absolute disgrace. And the decision making and the thought process again from him today is to just influence the game. And influence the game in one way. No way on God's green earth was that an offside goal. No way. Didn't block the keeper. Wasn't in his eye line. It is absolute horseshit decision making. And again, didn't ask the ref to look, did he? Ref wasn't sent to a monitor to have a look to see if it was subjective or not. Nope. Mr. Michael Oliver made the decision. The penalty incident, don't even get me started on it, but again, I do understand where he's coming from, but, you know, I think if you give a shit about football, Oliver should be called out. Because I'm not using it as an excuse to why we lost the game. We lost the game because we were second best. But that man is an absolute disgrace. Virgil said, we had to dig deep in the second half. We got more momentum in possession by pressing. We got more momentum in possession, but our pressing wasn't good enough. It's about finding consistency and carrying on. Now we need to go to our country, stay fit and be ready for a big run after. We're not going to give up whatsoever. We're in November and we're ready for a long season and a big fight. Yeah, all words, Virgil. All fucking words at this point. You know, I could go on here and talk myself into having a 12-inch penis and weighing 12 stone, but it's just all talk. You know, stop with it. Just fucking be better. And call out your centre-back partner for being fucking horrendous. Because Konate is playing like he doesn't give a shit. Thomas Worrell said, hey Craig, much respect brother. Man U fan here. Liverpool played some of the best football I've seen in previous seasons. Is Slot the problem or the players? I would say it's more the manager than the players, Thomas, but I do think it's a collective failure. I put the inconsistencies of performance down to the manager because I could come back to a simple thing, mate. I don't know our identity. I don't understand what he wants to do or what we're trying to do. I don't understand it. And it's not because I don't get football. It's because I'm looking at Jekyll and Hyde out there. Every week you don't know who's showing up, what way we're going to play, what way we're going to look. We just look just so far removed from mentality monsters. So all I can say is the common denominator is more the manager because it's his brand of football. He's taken, as somebody said, the aggression, the chaos, the pressing, and all these things that were there and dragged them away into monotonous, boring football. You know, City are a team that keep the ball and move the ball. We don't. We're too reactive. It's just not good enough. And the press today from Virgil, fair enough, but just second balls all over the park. They just wanted it more than us today, and that's concerning. Pad said players don't trust Arna anymore, Craig. Look lost. I wouldn't say, Padge, if we had a private word with some of these players, I wouldn't say that there wouldn't be confusion from them. I think, you know, whether they don't trust him or not, I don't know. That's a big leap for me to say. But I would say that they can be as equally as confused as we are about what the fuck he's trying to do. Worried Real Madrid might not want Ibu now, want him gone. Well, regardless if they don't want him or not, mate, his contract's still going to be up with us at this moment in time. And all Liverpool can do, in my humble opinion now, is get their finger out of their arse and get a player signed up as soon as the January window opens, because either that or we're going to have to play Gomez and just say to Konate, look, you don't give a shit, mate, off you pop. Because I'm telling you now, we're going to hear it in social media. We're going to hear him come on and just say about what it does mean and call out. I don't care. You know, players can go on social media and say what the fuck they want, and they can go in an interview and say what they want. Their actions speak louder than everything else. And Ibrahim Konate's actions this season, more often, because not every game, but more often have been unacceptable, and he looked today like he couldn't give a shit. And I don't say that easily. He just looked disinterested today, and that's unacceptable. And it's another one that's ambling through a season, pretending he doesn't know what he's doing with his future. Just have a pair. Grow a pair. Don't be Trent number 2. Just fucking say you want out, and then Liverpool can go about bringing in your replacement. SH Cork TV or Scork TV said, do you understand any of the subs you made in the second half, Craig? Please explain to me. I want to go through the subs, so I want to bring them up on my phone so I can correctly, you know, refer to your comment. Right, subs. So, first substitutions, Cody Gakpo, Milos Kerkez. Do I get them? Yes, I do understand that. It's straight swap for swap. Trying more attacking left back and trying a different left winger. So, those two substitutions, I understand. Curtis Jones on for Alexis McAllister. Again, it's probably more a fatigue thing. But the two that I really don't understand are Chiesa and Gomez, because those substitutions for me were more about resting the two players he took off than trying to impact the game with the players he brought on. So the last two substitutions, I think, were more a case of protecting people rather than trying to influence the game in a positive way. Matty Gorman said, Neville was spot on when he said Pep man-marked Virgil with Haaland, leaving Konate with the ball. Missing out on Gay was devastating. Centre-back is a must. Konate was, again, a huge fault for some of the actions today. And look at Doku's goal, and how many times as Liverpool fans have we seen that happen, where somebody gets a shot from the edge of the box without being closed down, without a body thrown in front. Then juxtapose that with when we take a shot against opposing teams, their defenders are willing to put their bodies on the line and throw themselves at the ball and rush out and jump in front of it. Our lads are too cool for that. We just turn sideways and hope. It's so passive. It's annoying. Takes a striker off, 3-0 down. Slot has no clue, said the elder. Are you for real? Klopp would never go 3-0 down to City. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Did I ever say he would? I mean, I've no idea what you're talking about, Sean, because you're not hearing me moaning about the manager. So whatever your gripe is, mate, I think either you picked up on me wrong or I don't know. Need to change the formation to 3-4-1-2 or 3-4-2-1. I don't even think, Philip, at this point, I can single out the formation because it's more about the attitude of the players out there as well. So you can change formation 100 times, but if the attitude isn't right, it ain't going to make a jot of difference. Klopp lost 4-1 to City. There's no point in bringing facts into a conversation with these lads, mate, because they didn't come in to have an honest conversation. They just came in to try to feel superior to people. You know, I've been doing this long enough, I can spot those type of comments a mile away, but you're right, we did. Cal said, what's your opinion, mate? Slot in or out? Because I honestly don't see this changing. It's not just this season, it's been a whole of 2025. So I'm still slot in. But it's dangling. It's dangling. I would have been more slot in before I'd seen that stat about 40% of our games since we lost to PSG. We've lost, so that's not including draws. We've lost 40% of all games and all competitions since we lost to PSG. That's not acceptable. And like I've said when I was talking about slot a few weeks ago, this isn't just this season. It's how we ended last season. So it's carried into this season. So am I in or out? In, but clinging on. You know, I want to be fair, and I said, if we lose 2 of the 3 games this week, I'm slot out. But we didn't. We won 2 and lost 1. But it's how we lost the game again today that really worries you as a fan. Because we were so far removed from it. So far removed from the level of performances against Villa and Madrid. And whatever the reason is, whether they think it's fatigue or whatever, I don't care. It's still underperforming and it's still not acceptable. So I'm clinging on, mate. But we'll run it tonight again in the late night agenda to see if we get a similar outcome. But look at this, another fucking moron that doesn't know how to spell loser. Why is it that you tickos try to undermine people and you can't spell basic words? You absolute fucking clown. Loser is spelled with 1 O, you fucking moron. Learn to spell before you try to banter, because it's honestly fucking, I'm sick of being, I'm insulted by your stupidity. Honestly, if you're going to try to banter, learn to fucking spell. Jesus Christ. It's L-O-S-E-R. It ain't that fucking hard, bro. So, again, we're there to be bantered. Fair play. But God almighty. You know, you're embarrassing the good trolls out there. There's nothing more worrying on this than a fucking dangerous idiot. A dangerous idiot is worrisome to the world, mate, and you are it. If Slot would be leave after a few more matches, and besides Klopp, who would be better as the coach? I've no idea. I've no idea. I haven't really thought about the next coach thing yet because, like I said, I hadn't got to the point where I was slot out. So I truly don't know, bro. You know, Iriola's name was mentioned and bandied around a little bit. You know, obviously some people talking about Klopp back. I don't know if that's at all realistic either. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you, Rex, but the honest answer is, man, I don't know. VI Joker said Slot needs to find the right front 3 going forward, and LFC needs to get top 4 and try to do well in the Cup. So what's on offer? This is why I'm so annoyed that we went out of the League Cup and he threw the League Cup, because it's a confidence building thing. You're telling me if we had played or had a semi-decent bench there and found a way through and we're in the quarter-final, then that's not going to lift morale around the club? You know, that fans wouldn't be happy with a potential trip to Wembley. This is why I think the knock-on effect of just handing up and giving away that game still lingers with me and pisses me off. because you don't get to build a squad and say that Liverpool are building a squad to try to dominate domestically and compete in every competition and then cry arse about injuries at the very first fucking chance and put out an absolute shit show of a squad. You don't do that. You don't get to do that after spending nearly £500 million. Slot made sensible adjustments the previous two matches, then reverted to his failed preferred system. The players have lost belief and Slot won't change. Arne needs to go. It's our only hope to get top four, said Roshi. Virgil 7491 said, so somebody needs to explain to him what our tactics and what passing the ball to Salah and he loses it. But that aside, Mr. Konate, please leave. He's shocking. He's shocking, mate. Konate. It just really winds me up when it just looks so lackadaisical. Rob said Slot isn't a mentality monster. Yeah, he lacks real guts. Glenn Pringle said shocking, away from home, the players down tools in my opinion, an alarming lack of effort and desire. I'm worried the players do not support the manager anymore. See, that's something that's come up a few times today. And I can't answer that for you, mate. And I don't know if any of us can, but I can see how people are getting to the point. And you're never going to have players come out and say that they aren't playing for the manager anymore. That is never going to happen. But we can see with our own eyes, the same players that are able to perform to a better level aren't. And we were second best again all over the park. So I can get the point. No way we lose if we go 1-1. Oliver's a weapon. Look, Tom, let's be fair about it. Agree with you, by the way, on the header. But I don't think that we can say City didn't deserve to win the game. Or maybe wouldn't have gone on to win the game. Because that would have come against the run of play. And I get what you're saying, mate. Anything is possible at that point. But I felt like today, again, we didn't have the ability to get back into it. So, yes, look, I'm as annoyed about Oliver as you are, mate. But I don't want to take away from... I don't want to be the guy who said City didn't deserve to win or whatever, because they did. They were the better team. But I also fully sympathise with where you're coming from, because Oliver is... I can't even say what I'm really thinking because I'll be cancelled, mate. Rain said, I need to see some anger and passion from Slot. Nessie said, the reason I'm Arna out is because seeing the big picture, since we won the league, we have never played consistently well for a number of games. And as a Liverpool manager, that is hard, or that has to be unacceptable. So, do you remember at the end of last season, Nessie, people were telling me to relax because we'd already won the league. And I was complaining about a lack of effort. And I said, you can't just switch these things on and off. And people said, relax, Craig, we've won the league. Well, here we are. And that carries over. You can't just switch it on and off. You're either at it every week, give it 100% or you aren't. And the inconsistency part, you are absolutely spot on. We have been way too inconsistent. And it's unacceptable. This is his second year on the job. And we're going backwards. It was part of my plan. Said £500 million spent and more questions than answers. Yep, Chris Joseph said, lost 40% of our games since PSG. As per the Tactical Times, this has been a bigger issue than just since September. Chris in Orlando. Chris, I'm with you, bro. I agree with you. Lots of love to you over in Orlando, mate. Wish I was over there with you. Love Orlando. But I don't disagree, bro. I don't disagree. That's an unacceptable stat at any point in time for a Liverpool manager, ever, to be lost 40% of our games since that PSG defeat. It's a piss take. Jimmy said, I can't quite make up my mind if Arne should be out because nearly every player is underperforming. I get it, and I've the same dueling thought processes myself, Jimmy. I think there just comes a point, though, where if you do stop in any way, even 10%, doubt the manager or what he's doing, it will impact. And at that point, you do have to make it. That, for me, is the tipping point. And I said this during the week, that I'd seen a response from the players to the manager, and that's why I was more, giving Slot more time. But if the club ever view that they aren't listening and playing for the manager, then they have to act. And that will be my turning point. When I think they've stopped playing for him, that's when I'll be saying I think he needs to go. And I'm kind of on the fence again on it. Sean said, only played well reverting to Klopp's style. Slot ball is slow and easy to play against. Saw it last season. One good half and one poor half. Maddie said, I didn't mind losing today as long as we performed. I was the same. I said all week, mate, going to the Etihad's a difficult thing at the best of times. So yeah, it was how we lost and how we accepted it so easily, which is unacceptable. Right, folks, couple of quick things. If you can, please do drop a like for me on the stream. It really does help push the channel out there, and I appreciate your support. Maddie said, I've lost all confidence in Slot and want him gone. Stephen said, bench Konate if he signs no contract, no World Cup. That, to me, Stephen, should have been the motivating factor for Konate all summer and into this season. If you want to be going to the World Cup, you best be performing. And if you're not performing, you're on the bench. But what we don't have now is an option, really, Stephen, unfortunately, because we didn't bring in the extra body and because we've been unlucky with Giovanni Leone. But I keep saying the same with Salah. If you don't have competition and you're not willing to hold people to account for poor performances, what? Of course, they're just got to keep doing it. Like, what's the motivation for them not to? So you're right. I'm basically, in a long-winded way, mate, saying I agree with you. Maddie said, a couple of more bad losses. That's it. Time to put Edwards and Jurgen in a room to thrash out the differences. The only identity we have is too easy to get at. Simon Robinson said, embarrassing today. Nothing at all. James Kane said, people wondering our system is as many back passes as we can do until the keeper hoofs it forward. Craig, if you would sign any two players when the window opens, who would they be and why? Mark Gay, self-explanatory. And realistically, Elise, would be my top choice, but Semenyo is probably potentially achievable. So in a really quick answer, those. Mark Vierncombe, welcome to Anfield Agenda FC, sir. Appreciate your support, Mark. Thank you very much. We don't even have a natural right wing, and Konate is embarrassing, said that meme guy. Yes, but we never got to the option, plus we got unlucky with Leone. Oh, we definitely did get unlucky with Leone. I totally get that. And, it will be interesting to see if the club do make a signing in January when the window opens, because we have to. LZ Bain said, ref screwed us, nothing wrong with that equaliser, and we got suckered by the second City goal, which is extreme to come back from at the Etihad. Andy, you're blaming Slot for this, Craig. Joke. So, look, I'm going to defend my position, mate, and you can feel free. Well, you've tried to explain yours, and I'm going to try to respond to you. Yes, the goal shouldn't have been ruled out. No disagreement with me on that. So we're both together on that one. Konate, one gave away the penalty from basically giving the ball to Doku. Yes, the keeper made the challenge, but it was Konate's mistake. Haaland's header comes from Konate not tracking the ball and being more interested in wrestling, and the manager doesn't drag him off. So yes, I'm blaming the manager, because whatever you want to say, mate, about the equaliser, let's look at the game in its entirety. Do you think we deserved anything from that game? Take off your red tinted Liverpool glasses and be honest. We were second best all over the park. So you can call me a joke all you want, but I'm articulating why I have my position. I'm not trying to just belittle you or anybody else. I'm being honest about it. We deserved fuck all from the game. And yes, it's on the manager, because he keeps rewarding these same underperforming players, and he doesn't hold them to account while ignoring perfectly good options like Chiesa, because he wants to make some type of point. So, again, like I said, I can defend my position. Can you? The worrying part is the identity and the inconsistency. Well, the loss sucks, but the fact that we played like Championship makes it worse, said that meme guy. Christian said, why are you expecting now by the end of the season? Expecting we have to qualify for the Champions League, so third or fourth. Don't know in the Champions League itself, because like I said, if you can click in the form at the right time, you can do something in that. So I guess I'm holding on hope for that really more than anything. Sam Ed said, it's not down to individual players, it's Slot who's the problem. He's thrashed our heavy metal football, he's taken away our physicality, and now we look weak and exposed. It's a collective thing. I agree. And certainly his attitude, demeanour and selection is a big part of that as well. Right, let's give you some quotes from the manager before we finish up. So this one, Arne Slot said, very, very difficult first half. We struggled a lot. Second half, I saw a much better performance. But first half, they were much better than us. Yeah, cool. We were shit both halves, mate. And we, again, could have conceded another 3. We'd 1 shot on target in the whole game. So whatever he says, 1 shot on target. Pep Guardiola and Conor Bradley. Conor Bradley from Liverpool, I'm really impressed. Pep Linders told me 1,000 incredible things about him. He could do everything against Madrid and Vinicius Jr. Wow. And so Jeremy Doku played an outstanding game. Very kind of Pep to praise Conor. And look, Doku did have a very good game. Arne Slot on the disallowed goal. I think it's obvious the clear wrong decision has been made. Yes, but then get to calling out Oliver, Arne. If you want to really grow a pair, get to calling out Oliver for being a scumbag again. Arne Slot said, I think it's obvious and clear that the wrong decision has been made, at least in my opinion, because Robertson didn't interfere at all with the goalkeeper. Immediately after the game, somebody showed me the goal, and the same referee allowed City's goal against Wolves last season, John Stones' last-minute winner. So it took the linesman 13 seconds to raise his flag to say it's offside. There was clearly communication. See? Like I said, again, who's at the scene of the crime? Michael Oliver, time and time again. This one from Arne Slot on the game said, set pieces can make a difference. Now conceding 2 from a set piece. That was a fair reflection of us being 2-0 down. The game went as it went, but we would have been lucky going 1-0 down in a half-time. It has been an influential decision. And we weren't good enough, Arne. Congratulations to Guardiola. He managed to neutralise Liverpool's midfield today and Slot as well. Salah is still far below par and he doesn't have the courage to substitute him during the game. Again, I can't disagree with anything you've written there. Ladies and gents, I'm going to go and record the player ratings. Now, I'll be back here tonight at 9 o'clock for the late night agenda. So I hope you can come and join me and we'll talk about it in more detail then. I do appreciate you all being here with me. I know it's been a shitty day for us, but I appreciate your ongoing support. If you can, hit that like button for me and drop a sub on the stream. Or drop a sub if you can. And if you'd like to submit your player ratings, make sure you scan that QR code on the screen and that'll bring you into our WhatsApp group where you'll see the link in there. So I'll see you at 9 o'clock. Appreciate your support as always. Wasn't our day today again, unfortunately, but